Champions are here and they're going to make a massive impact on your decks in Clash Royale. Not only that, but your battles will be affected by how you play your champions and when you use them in the decks that you have them in. Therefore, we gotta make sure you guys are using the champions to the best of their ability, so then you aren't really losing a lot with them and you really can get the most value. So that's exactly why we're gonna get into some of the best ways to use your champions today in Clash Royale. Today, we're not gonna mess around. We are getting into the first champion, and as you see here, guys, it is the Skeleton King, one of the stronger champions in the game, but people do not understand how to use him, boys. I've seen countless other YouTubers use him, and they are trying to use a basic Mother Witch to try and take people's towers. This Skeleton King, you got it all wrong. At first, I was with ya. The man struggles to take towers. He's very weak. In terms of HP, he really doesn't got a lot of it, and he doesn't do necessarily a lot of damage. So what does this mean? You gotta use him differently. Do not use him as a win condition, as many other YouTubers are portraying him as. Simply not the case. Use him like you would a Mother Witch, guys. Absorb those swarms, take them out, and then obviously make your opponent spend a bunch of elixir they don't want to defensively on wasting just trying to defend him. You're not going to try and take towers. You're simply just using him behind a Royal Giant, behind some sort of Electro Giant, something to just get elixir value. Taking towers would be cool, obviously, with the graveyard effect, and naturally, since we all see he has a graveyard, we naturally assume, hey, this guy's supposed to take towers with it, but that is just not the case. Clash Royale could, of course, buff him before you see him in game, and of course, change how this all works, but as of right now, he is not going to be used to take towers. He's going to be used to deal with swarms and obviously control them in the upcoming meta. That is absolutely essential, and if you need to rewind and watch that all again, I encourage you to do so. That information is something I have not seen said anywhere else yet on the new champions. So getting right into the interactions here, you're going to see he's going to be best used with the RG in front, maybe, or any other tank you want to pair him with, and since his ability is a lot of elixir, you do want to play passive generally, and make sure you have him in cycle, so then you can also use his ability. A great example of this is right here, having his skull just charge up because so many units are dying. You're able to then use his ability and absolutely crush towers, especially with other units tanking for him. It's just overall going to overwhelm opponents, and here you see, guys, nothing is stopping this push. We throw out the wow, and that is a tower down due to the obvious control on all the swarms and him just coming up and crushing behind that Royal Giant. Right here's another good example, guys. The minions come down, which ultimately would be a decent counter to him, but as you'll see there, he's marching on in, he's taking care of all this swarm, and that will allow him to spawn a bunch of skeletons, which will ultimately destroy a lot of HP. So even though we weren't able to take the tower, you can see the effective push there in doing a lot of damage. Check this out, guys. You want to use arrows and splash damage with him, because if you can get a lot of arrows value like that, it immediately fills up his skeleton range, and that way he'll be able to spawn a graveyard pretty much on command. You'll see here there's so many units coming in. He's obviously destroying. He's almost back to another graveyard. Of course, if the timer did not run out, he maybe would have gotten another graveyard down. Here's a great example, guys, with RG in the pocket and the Skeleton King just walking up. He's going to absolutely annihilate. This is another pro of him just absorbing all of those skulls, now able to walk up, and with the RG in the pocket, everything is just going to get overrun, guys. We'll use him like a Mother Witch, a support card, like I said. Not going to be used to take those towers, so you're going to need alternate win conditions with the Skeleton King. Other than that, there's not too much more to show you guys with him. Obviously, it's pretty straightforward with the Mother Witch, kind of like the Mother Witch as I like to compare him to. There's really not too much else to say, right? He's great against the swarm, he'll absorb them, and then in pair with other win conditions, you'll be able to absolutely destroy in Clash Royale. So this ultimately means, and hopefully this is implied, but that you should not use the Skeleton King to take towers, to fight troops, to really do too much, because overall his HP and damage is not going to be used. Therefore, that effectively you really want to once again get those skeletons and then make a big push with him, or support a push with the Skeleton King. Moving on to champion number 2, guys, we have the Golden Knight. This, of course, is a champion that will take a lot of skill, in my opinion, and he can be used in many different situations. So we're going to get into exactly when you want to use him and what type of decks you want to use the Golden Knight in. The Golden Knight here will be able to get some awesome chains and, of course, get a lot of value on these small units here. You'll see he crushes, he gets the firecracker, and he gets to that tower. That's an interaction there that is a perfect example of where where the Golden Knight is actually incredibly strong. You just have to make sure you use him in the correct way. Since all of those units were pretty low HP and in a good amount of space, he was able to dash to every single one and connect onto that tower. Right here's another example where he just barges through all of those goblins, is able to get some elixir value and then continue onto the tower. So obviously they're not as effective. He won't do too much tower damage, but still something to consider. Right here's an important example, guys. As you see, the ability will come down once we get elixir. He's going to dash onto this goblin hut and then immediately dash onto the tower, doing a lot of damage and completely ignoring the firecracker and the other goblins that come out of that hut once it's destroyed. This is important because once he targets that tower, he will lock onto it and do a bunch of damage. So you got to be very careful defensively if you're facing him, or if you're using him and you want to get that tower damage, then definitely make sure if he's locked onto 100% deal with that. Here's an interesting interaction with the Golden Knight, guys. As you see, he's about to charge onto this Dark Goblin, but instead it kills the Dark Goblin and then the Fisherman pulls him back. Something to consider, that Fisherman could be a really solid way of dealing with this hero. Now this might be interesting, guys. Check out the Witch here. Witch is going to be used on defense, and of course her skeletons are going to be in front of her, but you have to be very careful because the Golden Knight is going to charge up, kill all the skeletons, kill her, and hit the tower. And like I said, he will then finish her off and the other skeleton spawn will help kill him, but does do a lot of damage and get to the elixir value there, as it was 5 elixir and you get a bunch of tower damage. That is a very good trade. Right here's an excellent example, guys, of the Knight just crushing through all of that, defending it and saving the tower for a positive elixir trade, which is insane. The Witch will also come down here, and this time accompanied by the Heal Spirit, he will crush through the Witch, crush that tower, and actually get healed up and take down the Witch before she spawns more skeletons, leading to a lot more tower damage. He actually does more than half of that tower's entire HP is just gone. So this is very interesting, and of course kind of like a bandit. He does have a little bit of a longer dash range. He can chain more units, and that is basically it. A very, very cool champion. This will of course take a lot of skill to use, but in the right circumstances and places, as you saw there, those are some prime examples of where he can work. Now obviously we talked about this, but in terms of being like a bandit, he would definitely fit in a lot of the decks Bandit would, the bridge spam type decks, the Mega Knight spam, all of that sort of stuff, with the Pack of Bridge spam as well included. This man can definitely see a spot fitting in one of those decks. And finally, arguably the most versatile and strong right now is the Archer Queen. She's incredibly versatile because you can use her ability and go completely invisible. She can take down entire pushes like Expo, Minor Balloon, Hog Riders. It's all crazy, and she's very strong, so let's get into some of the interactions. A Minor Balloon push is coming in hot, and the Archer Queen actually gets placed really late here, but she's still able to cloak her ability and then absolutely crush this balloon without getting any shots off. If she was placed faster and in more correct position, she would have been able to take out the Miner as well. I mean, she's just crazy. This is an Expo Tesla at the bridge that the Archer Queen is then able to counter. As you see here, she's used, and then you need to use her ability instantly to make sure she can fully take out that Expo, make sure she's close to it as well. She entirely counters the 6th Elixir Expo and pretty much takes down the entire Tesla. That is a very positive Elixir trade, and that is so much value that could honestly 100% counter Expo. Since she's invisible, the Tesla doesn't help out, and the Expo will target the tower, but if you have something else soaking up that damage, you can have a many flawless defenses and positive elixir trades against Expo. Now this is something where you gotta be careful, guys. The Archer Queen here in company with something else would be alright, but the Archer Queen alone with a giant Electro Dragon push will certainly do a good amount of damage to the giant, but it's just not enough to stop it all. Even with the ability there, she gets overrun and the tower falls. When accompanied by something else, this will definitely be an easier defense here. So with the snowball there, with the bomber, it's actually not a bad defense, but you will have to spend more elixir than just the Archer Queen on defending things like giants, golems, if they are coming your way. Right here is a balloon Archer Queen push, and the balloon basically baits out any sort of air defenses. The Archer Queen then underneath will go invisible, absolutely crush through these skeleton dragons, and if you aren't careful, guys, she will lock onto that tower, do an insane amount of damage, and that is literally more than a third of the entire tower's HP gone. Defensively speaking here, we have a lot of units coming our way here, so the Archer Queen alongside the zap and her ability will be used, and she will shut this down with absolutely no problem. It seems the Archer Queen has a lot of success against many units that are very singular and don't have a whole bunch of hit points. She'll be able to take things down like Valkyries with her ability, of course, dragons, other things that really just cannot hide bound around a bunch of swarm. Right here's an example of the Archer Queen push really not doing too much, but then turning into a massive amount of damage when the ability is used. She literally shreds the entire tower, and the opponent was certainly not ready for it. Here's an example of another giant push, but this time the Archer Queen is accompanied by many things. You'll see the Archer Queen actually doesn't have a too bad job of dealing dealing with it. The Skeleton Dragons, alongside the Archer Queen's ability and Miner to distract, absolutely shut this giant down. He has no chance of breaking through, and all of the Skeleton Dragons die as well. And now the counter push is going to be insane here. You see the opponents trying to put on opposite lane pressure. The Archer Queen, the Miner, and the double Miner, and Balloon, and Zap, it's all going down. The Archer Queen's here she's going to use her ability, and that tower falls faster than the push on the right side. The whole tower goes down. The Skeleton Dragons will in turn also die. So much value from the Archer Queen. She is still somehow alive. She kills not only the Skeleton Dragons, not only the tower, she tags up the Tesla, she kills the everything, guys. Holy moly. So overall, these are a lot of interactions and ways to use these champions to your advantage and absolutely crush in Clash Royale. Now, as we go through, as we play with them, once they're actually in game, we're of course going to get into more detailed situations. If you want to see best decks for any of the champions coming soon, subscribe down below, guys. We're going to be coming out with videos on all of the new content continuously, so definitely make sure to stay tuned to the channel if you enjoyed today's video, if you watched all the way until the end. I really do truly appreciate it, and I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Thank you all so much for watching. Master Diddy San, out.